back subbing himself out of a game?
This is an interesting one. So Anthony Richardson, the Colts quarterback yesterday, had a couple of running plays back to back, and while he was running out of bounds, he saw Joe Flacco, his backup, was like, "Joe, get in for me." And now the next play was just a handoff to Jonathan Taylor anyway, but it was a third down situation. Now, Coach Steichen, he said that they're just going to call a dive play anyway, and he's totally cool with it. Totally understands Anthony Richardson being gassed. I've never seen it. I've never seen it from a quarterback. Right? I've never seen it from a quarterback, even in college or in high school. Like, I've never seen a quarterback say, "Okay, get me, man."
Okay,
I'm so gassed.
Quarterbacks, their egos are like, they don't even probably like coming out of a blowout game at the end.
True. This is just an odd one for me. Yeah. Now, I also agree that sometimes, and I think this about Lamar all the time, like Lamar's conditioning is so stellar, right. So stellar. And for him to rip off a 70-yard completion and then to be waiting on the line to get there to run another play, regardless of what the call is. And you got to be smart, an offensive coordinator, too, to not gas your quarterback to run him with designed runs and then think he's going to rip off a 7-step drop to perfection. But this is you're getting paid here.
It's a business.
This is a business. And I've never been, it's one of those things that the kids do that, like, I never thought of someone actually doing this, man. I never thought of a quarterback subbing themselves out in the
plus,
NFL.
most of the time, the quarterback, the backup's got headsets on, helmet's not near him. It's usually on the back. I mean, if Flacco was ready to go, that's one thing. Was he ready to go?
He was ready. He knew he wasn't going to do much. And,
right.
Joe Flacco has had time, and Joe Flacco, even Anthony Richardson may say, like, he's better than me. Like, dude, Anthony Richardson could not hit the broadside of a barn yesterday. He was 10 for 32. It was awful. A very close game because of their running game, because of what he can do on the ground, and obviously Jonathan Taylor is so good. But, Flacco was ready to go. Again, I think Steichen knew what was going on, too, so he just handed the ball off so they could punt it. But the defense probably knew as well. That's the other thing. Like, you see the backup quarterback coming in because the guy just ran one off, and you're not going to throw anything. And Joe Flacco's in. You're just going to hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. And he got teed off on when they did that. So I've never seen it. I've never thought of it. I've never thought that a quarterback in the NFL would sub themselves out. Running backs do all the time. Debo did last night a couple of times. Debo was he's got water in his lungs. He's got pneumonia. After running a couple of plays, I'd be gassing, calling to the sideline. But I've never seen a quarterback do it, never contemplated a quarterback doing it, especially at this level.
C.J. Stroud, not a bad day. 25 for 37, almost 300 yards.
He's great.
They win 23-20.
Is he not great?
I think the Thursday game, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it the Texans versus the Jets?
Ooh,
pretty sure that's the next game. So Houston's looking 7-2 in the face. Jets are looking at another L if they play the way they've been playing. Again, going back to the Bengals, letting Joe Mixon go, Stephon Diggs, I don't know. I mean, I kind of think he might be able to help the Bills if he were still there, but that's a different team if he's still there. But Joe Mixon, Diggs, I mean, they've really kind of struck gold with getting those guys on the team.
So we don't know what's going on with Diggs right now. He had a non-contact right knee injury in the game yesterday. You are correct. They play the Jets on Thursday night, Halloween special in New York. But it doesn't.
Trick or treat?
Well, the trick will be Stephon Diggs play or not. So we shall see. But I think Joe Mixon had one of the toughest runs I've seen this season. Like, he gets contact about the 10 and carries a dude while absorbing more contact at the 5, just willing his way into the end zone. To me, that's why the Houston obviously C.J. Stroud, he's been spectacular in 2 years. DeMeco Ryans, I love as a head coach. I think he's a motivator, plus he's making a lot of the right moves at the end of games. Their defense is decent, can be better. I think they're a lot younger, but Stephon Diggs adds a little depth to their wide receiver position, but adding Joe Mixon to me has been the cherry on top of this team. It added
a running game, and CJ could run a little bit more if he wants or not.
Right.
I mean, again, I don't want to get back to the Cowboys or any of these other organizations, the Bengals, letting these star running backs go because you think his time is evaporating. It's just stupid. It blows me away. Now, Mixon's coming off injury. Mixon's still PO'd with the league because of the hit that he got hurt on. But for the most part, when these guys are healthy, when Henry was healthy, Dixon, Mixon healthy, these guys they're going to grind out 20 runs for 100 yards, and they're going to pick up a blitzing guy. I mean, they add so much, and they're so good. I don't understand some of the moves that were made the last couple of years.
Case in point, there are 3 humongous running back moves in that front. One, Joe Mixon. How's the team he left doing? Bengals look horrible against the Eagles. Horrible.
Bengals look terrible.
Derrick Henry. How are the Titans doing? They're lucky to get 14 against the Detroit Lions. Lions are still scoring touchdowns in that ball game. Saquon Barkley. How are the Giants doing?
Great point.
All 3 of these guys were not wanted by their organizations, and these organizations are suffering because they don't have a running game.
And the ones they went to are prospering because of them.
Yeah.
And by the way, this week, Jalen Hurts had a fantastic week. So it's starting to be like when Saquon, you're keying out more on Saquon. This guy has a little bit more breathing room, and he can pick you apart. To me, you have to have some kind of running game, and to see some of these teams that are just suffering and they had a running game and let it go, well, shame on you.
Eagles really had a bad game against the Buccaneers. That was their worst loss. Now, that was on the road against Tampa Bay. I think the 1-point loss that Saquon's still taking the blame for that drop football against the Atlanta Falcons, that should have been a win. This is a one-loss team to me that will continue to roll. And I don't know why we're talking about getting rid of this coach from the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's just going to keep on winning and let the cards fall where they may. They got the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up next. So they can get even better before they play the Cowboys. Cowboys, you got to do something, right?
As we said, Joe Mixon used to play for that Bengals team. They went down 37-17 to the Eagles.
Yeah. Smoked.
Bengals look like pussycats this weekend.
Smoked.
All right, who we had? I'm interested to see who we had.
Kurt?
Some of these are close. Some of these are very close.
I don't think we have that tape.
I got the record book.
All right. Then we'll get back to the Hail Mary. It was fantastic, and if you missed it, go watch the video. Be right back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell.